So recently I turned 30 years old about a month ago, and I was thinking and reflecting back on my early 20s and mid 20s. There was one common theme that kept coming up in those years, which was uncertainty. So I figured that I would, now that I'm 30 years old and Unc status, I would make this video to give some advice to the people who are possibly in the position that I was in my early 20s. The truth is that uncertainty never truly goes away. There's always going to be times, even as you get older, that you're uncertain about certain things. But now I feel like I'm at a point, especially with my career and my relationship and everything like that, where I feel very certain about things. I still have goals and aspirations that I'm uncertain how I'm going to achieve them, but that's what I'm working on. And as long as I keep working and making each day count, I'm sure that those things will become more certain as time goes. So let me take you back to about 2017. I was a senior in college, undergrad, and I was doing my bachelor's in biotechnology. I remember sitting down with one of my friends, and we were talking about how uncertain we felt about graduating. Even though we were graduating that year, we didn't have any jobs lined up. We didn't really even know what we wanted to do in life. And at the time, I had this internship where I was working in a lab by myself, just going and doing the most boring work you can think of, like mixing things and just boring to me, okay? And I knew that with my career choice that I had chosen, which was a bachelor's in biotechnology, don't know if I said it already, but I knew that that's going to be what my future looks like unless I change something. I honestly don't like working by myself. I like being in a social environment and I gain energy from that. So I knew that I wanted to do something of that sort. So fast forward a few months and I graduated college. I was so excited. I was the first person to get a bachelor's degree in my family. And guess what happened next? I started working at the same job that my mom worked at without any sort of, well, my mom was a teacher back home, but she didn't have any schooling in America. And for all that's worth, like she probably was an equivalent of a high school diploma or an associate degree here. And so I started working at the same job as her, being a caregiver. And for people who don't know, caregiving is a very difficult job, and I have a lot of respect for the caregivers out there. It's a very important job. So when I was working that job alongside my mother, it was nice because I got to work with my mom, but my ego was kind of shot because I had worked so hard in my undergrad degree to get a bachelor's. And here I was at the same place where most people didn't even have like a high school diploma, and it wasn't really required. And the truth is that I did try to apply to places where bachelor's degree was needed, and honestly, I wasn't getting any jobs. Like I got a few interviews, but it was really tough to find a job, which made this period very uncertain and I was sort of depressed. But life moves on and I kept working and working. And while I was at work, I would see and talk to other people. And there I kind of discovered the PA profession. My sister's a nurse, so she definitely talked to me about that as well. And so that became my new goal. Now, you see, like for me telling that story, you can see that there's time that needs to go by before you get the certainty. So once I heard about the PA profession, I started working towards it, getting the prerequisites and getting my clinical hours and things like that to be able to apply to these schools. And in the meantime, I started really working on myself on a personal level. I was really into working out at the moment. I wasn't like jacked or anything, but I started taking that more seriously. I started, researching more things. I started meditating, and it became a period of self-development and working towards my goal to become a PA. But at the same time, I was seeing my friends who seemed to have it all figured out and were going in a good trajectory. And I was really envious of that because I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be someone who had it figured out since high school. But the truth is that most people don't have it figured out. And the people who do have it figured out, they probably have either advice from their parents or they're just faking it. And you might just be in that period of time where you're feeling very uncertain. Perhaps you're in a similar position that I was in, or perhaps you're in a position much different and much harder than where I was. A lot of these things, a lot of these feelings do get better with time. As you talk to more people, as you get more experience, you start to figure out things that you enjoy doing and things that you don't like. And the things that you don't like are just as important to figure out. So, fast forward now, because I don't want to bore you with my story. I'm a practicing PA. I've been practicing for 3 years now. So, just in terms of career, I've had that certainty for a few years now. In terms of my relationship, I'm married, and I recently got married, so I have an amazing wife, and I have certainty in that aspect of my life as well. So now in my life, I have new uncertainties that have popped up over the last few years where I feel like I'm capable of giving more, doing more, making more money, putting my family in a better position. But how am I going to do that? So that's kind of why I'm making these videos too. Part of it is to help other people out, even though if it goes nowhere. But part of it is like maybe if I put myself out there and try to do it every single day or do something every single day that brings me more certainty, then perhaps things are going to become more clearer over the next few years. So that's kind of what you have to do when you're feeling uncertain in life. The answer is not to lock yourself in a room and like overthink these things. The answer is always to do the next thing that you think is reasonable in terms of getting towards where you want to go or figuring out where you want to go. And over time, once you do that, things just start to show themselves and the path becomes clearer. The main advice that I want to convey in this video is that if you're feeling uncertain about anything in life, it's going to work out. Just continue to live each day to the fullest and do something to improve or work towards your goal, or perhaps finding that goal. And things are going to work out. Okay. The other thing is that everyone has their own timeline. If you compare yourself to other people, you're never going to be happy. So just be grateful for the things that you have currently and just keep moving forward, and everything will figure itself out as long as you put in an effort. So I just figured I'd make this video because I do have a few people that I know who are graduating soon, and I know the job market is pretty terrible right now, along with all that's going in terms of politics in different countries. And it just sucks because it feels very uncertain in general. But just continue to work on the things that are in your control and getting better at those things and finding your purpose and meaning in life, and just do the things that feel good. Try to avoid the things that are harmful. Try to limit the things that are distractions. And if you give it enough time, everything's going to work out.